everybody, welcome to the Watch Pals. My name is Chris, and this week we're going to be going over the movie Tiptoes. But before we do that, let's introduce the panel of pals. First, as always, your pal, my pal, Jordan. Jordan, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here, Chris.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you, as always. Next, we're going to bring in Brian. Brian, thank you for being here.
Hi, Chris. I have very big toes. It's a pleasure to be here.
So it's hard for you to tiptoe around.
There's very little tipping. No tipping.
Perfect.
Wow.
Just towing.
Well, I'd love to see those later. But before we do that, Jeff, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks and you.
Hey, keep it PG.
Jeez.
Well, that's a great intro, and thank you for being here, everybody. Before we turn this over to Jordan so he can recap the movie Tiptoes for us, I want to know what you guys thought going into this movie. Before you watched it, if you saw the trailer, found out we were going to watch it, what was your first thought about this movie? Jeff, what did you think?
I'm crying. What did I think about this movie?
But before you watched it.
Going into it.
I didn't watch anything about it. I never heard of it. I knowing Jordan pretty well, I was like, this is going to be an interesting movie. And still not sure. I mean, I kind of got a gist of it from the last episode at the end. He sort of gave me an idea of where he heard of it. But yeah, I had no clue what this was about. But I saw the cast and I was like, it can't be that bad. So
right, yeah.
It's like what, Gary Oldman, Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale,
Peter Dinklage, Patricia Arquette,
David Allen Greer's in it.
Yeah,
I was like,
he's in it.
I haven't seen him in forever. So there's a lineup. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about it.
How about Brian, what did you think before going into this movie?
Yeah, no, I had heard that this was a notoriously bad movie from is it the early 2000s that it came out?
2003.
2002 or 2003. It's kind of conflicting.
Yeah, and this is, it's funny before we get into it, but this is like around the same time that McConaughey was kind of coming into his own as an actor. Like he was in Dazed and Confused to start and a few things throughout the years, but he was in some real stinkers. And
He's doing a lot of rom-coms at the time.
Rom-coms. He was in the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre that went direct to video. I don't know if you guys know that, but basically around that time. So I knew that it was a bad movie. And I'm a huge Gary Oldman fan because he's like a big character actor and he loves to like sink himself into the roles. So once I looked into this movie, there you go. It's perfect timing for that, I guess, or perfect fit. Yeah, this movie is insane. I knew it was a bad movie, but I didn't know what I was in store for until I actually watched it.
Jordan, what did you think going into this movie? Even whenever you decided to pick it, because obviously I think you said you never saw it prior to picking it for this.
So I heard of it from Tosh.0. He did some thing about it, and I was like, oh, I have to see this. So I don't know if I bought the DVD. This is when DVDs were still a thing. Or someone bought it for me, but I had it. And I remember I tried to start watching and I was like, I can't watch this. I can't. I never finished it. This was like, at this point, this was like 15 years ago, I think. So I was like, I'm going to revisit this terrible movie. So that's why.
There you go. What about you, Chris?
Whenever I heard that we were going to watch it and Jordan said, hey, we're going to watch Tiptoes, I watched the trailer on YouTube and I was like, this has to be a joke. I think it has to be like a comedy. Like it's played off as a comedy when you see it, I think, in the trailer.
Yeah.
It definitely isn't that. But whenever I saw it originally, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it'll be kind of silly, funny in some ways, like almost like family comedy funny. Like one of those, like Father of the Bride style. But I was not prepared. Yeah, like a lighthearted comedy. Right. I was not prepared, however. I was ill prepared, I should say, for what was in store for me. So let's move into the recap and hear the major plot points, the kind of breakdown of the movie itself. And I'm going to turn it over to Jordan so that he can guide us through this minefield of a movie.
Before I watched it, I kind of looked into the making of this or a little history of it. The director Matthew Bright. He ended up quitting writing and directing movies after this.
Wow.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, good.
Okay, good. He
had intended the movie to be 150 minutes. And the producers cut it down to 90 minutes. At one point, he was doing a showing of the movie somewhere, like a film festival, and went on this big rant about how about what the producers did to it. They had to actually carry him off the stage because, like, he kind of lost his mind. But Peter Dinklage, who's in the movie, said he saw the original 150-minute movie and said it was a beautiful movie. But that's not what people saw. They saw the 90-minute version. And I thought
he's also in it, so I mean,
right, yeah, right, yeah. Sure.
Based on what we saw, I really would love to know what was in the rest of those missing minutes.
Yeah, because there are a lot of things that kind of get like, I don't know, it's weird.
There's a couple jumps where I was like, when did this happen? Yeah, so.
And I think it's interesting, especially nowadays when like these bad movies come out, that these people on the internet are like, hey, release the original version, like the whole Snyder Cut thing with the Justice League.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting. That's kind of what happened with this, but I doubt we'll ever see the official.
Well, it's probably been
cut of this
lost
movie.
to time. Yeah, at this point, same with like that cut of House of the Thousand Corpses we'll never see from Rob Zombie because it's just gone.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's funny you said the length thing because the characters in this movie, and I'll let you get into the plot, but they make a lot of like emotional choices very quickly in their lives.
Yes. Abrupt. Very abrupt.
Red light, green light.
Yeah.
I'm doing this with my life now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense.
All right. So our movie begins with some real cool bluesy rock song playing.
Yeah, I wrote sick riffs at the start.
There's a lot of like generic library music used in this film,
So we then see two trike motorcycles, like the 3-wheel motorcycles, racing down a highway. One of which contains Gary Oldman's character, Rolf, which I think is a weird name. Rolfe. It's kind of odd. And then the title of the movie comes on screen, Tiptoes, with the O being stretched out for some reason.
I hated all the font choices of this movie, too.
So are they like pushing down? Are they squishing the O to make it because it's a film about little people? Is that why they did that? I don't know.
Also, I didn't know that this was a film about little people starting it.
You didn't look into it before the film at all?
No. Even the trailer I just saw, I was like, oh, Peter Dinklage, he rules.
Peter Dinklage, awesome actor.
Gary Oldman, he's cool.
Yeah, the name doesn't really help you know what the hell the movie's about.
Yeah, no, the title means
You think
nothing.
it's about like dancing maybe or something? It could be like a ballet film. I mean, that's what dude, if I had to guess what a movie called Tiptoe, either that or someone being like really fucking sneaky, pardon my language.
We'll find out Steven has been kind of sneaky, hasn't been sharing his life.
Another metaphor going on there.
Oh, maybe he's tiptoeing around his history.
His past.
All right, so we then cut to Kate Beckinsale's character, Carol, painting. She has a stereotypical artist in a movie look, dyed hair, tattoos, and edgy clothing. I like they always make artists like look like these stereotypical people.
Oh, I was going to say, I made a note. I don't know if this is the term anymore nowadays, but she had a tramp stamp, which was very 2000s.
But why is it that these painters in these films, they always have like this studio apartment and they have a canvas the size of their wall? Like they get,
it's like a warehouse.
Yeah. It's like one easel wasn't good enough for them. They're going to take the whole wall. But anyway, yeah, that's going.
So Matthew McConaughey enters, his character's name's Steven. He enters in a suit. The two are an unmarried couple. They get married later on. But I think it's interesting. They're unmarried, but there's times they get married later. There's times they have wedding bands on, which I was like, that's an oversight.
Well, I mean, is it an engagement ring?
No, they looked like straight up. They didn't
Guys
have
don't
like
wear 'em.
they had like I don't know. They both had like simple looking wedding bands.
They probably jumped ahead at some point there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reshoots.
Like spliced it together.
Steven says he has to go to a family thing, but won't tell Carol where, and it makes her suspicious. She accuses him of having something on the side and then proceeds to attempt to perform a certain sexual act on Steven.
In the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was like,
whoa. It's in the trailer too, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I mean, that's how you bring them in, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'd watch it.
We then go back to Ralph, who is pulled over on the side of the road with his travel mate / friend, the French Maurice. They're taking a pee.
The Peter Dinklage is like It took me a while to figure out what he was trying to, what
he was going for.
Yeah, like I understand his accent at all.
Yeah, this was not the Dink's best role. That's for sure. That's how I have him in my notes.
His approach to hit that French accent is the same kind of accent. I don't know if you've ever seen John Malkovich in Rounders doing a Russian accent.
Oh yeah.
It is so it works, but it's so over the top that it doesn't work. You know, there's something off about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Campy about it, maybe.
Yeah.
At this point, the viewer realizes that they are little people. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Gary Oldman involved. Like, yes. I know he's a great actor, but why would they make him a little person? Why not get a little person in the movie?
I was shocked here. I was like, what?
And it's clear, like, by the motorcycle he's riding, that they're trying to hide the fact that he's not a little person. He has a big, bulky front to it to hide his legs. Yeah. Yeah, to hide his actual size.
I like how they drop the bomb that, like, I'm like, why the hell are they driving these things? And that makes sense as you say that, but I think it's funnier that, like, they mention later, oh, Maurice builds them. That's why they're driving them.
Well, yeah, Gary Oldman's character, Rolf, said he can't afford a car. So
okay.
As they're paying, a coach bus passes by and drops off a woman, Patricia Arquette's character, Lucy. I don't know how to describe Lucy as a character. She's like one, I don't.
I do.
She's not like a hippie, but she's like one of those people that believe in, like, you know, mystical stones. Yeah, New Age. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she definitely has a salt lamp.
Holistic. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Holistic. Yes, thank you.
The dream child.
Yes. So Maurice drives up to her. She's hailing. She's trying to get hitch a ride, and the camera just starts with her upskirt. It's an upskirt shot as she's sitting on the side of the road. It starts with an upskirt shot. It pans up to her face, which I thought was kind of interesting. Her legs are just kind of open.
There's, and you can bring this up later, but there's a lot of sexual, not just sexuality talked about in this film. There's a lot of sexual angles going on in some of these scenes too.
There's one in particular. I was like, why are they doing this later on?
Yeah, for the tone of the scene. We'll get to that because I know exactly.
The phone call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
I stopped because I could not stop laughing.
I wrote a note about that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get there. So Maurice pulls up, tells her to hop on. He tells Rolf to go on ahead as Maurice picks up Lucy. Stephen then arrives at a hotel where there's a convention or gala for little people. David Allen Grier's character, Jerry Robin Jr. is there. Apparently he's some sort of celebrity in this universe. And he has ridiculous hair.
Yeah, he looks like a character out of, like, Coming to America.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. Like, I love David Allen Grier. It's amazing.
Future.
Right, yeah.
Here we find out Stephen is the son of parents who happen to both be little people, while he, of course, himself is not. They ask where his brother is. He doesn't know. While seated, the character Bobby comes over, who I believe is Stephen's uncle, I think. Bobby gets introduced to Kitty, while one of the other guests points out Kitty's rack for some reason. I don't know why that needs to be addressed.
That was weird.
Yeah. Like the emo punk girl.
Yep.
Yeah. Stephen takes Bobby's 3 or 4 daughters. I don't know if the emo girl is one of his daughters out on the dance floor. Kitty says she could use a stiff one to Bobby, meaning a drink. A little innuendo there.
Quick cut.
Yeah. Then as Stephen leaves the event, outside he sees Rolf, and this is where we find out that they're brothers. Rolf introduces Maurice and Lucy. They proceed to go inside, but quickly come back from being kicked out for stealing food. So this is where I think it's very interesting what they do as far as trying to hide Gary Oldman's size. So in this scene, when he's talking to Stephen, they usually will never show Rolf's feet, Gary Oldman's feet, because for obvious reasons. But in the scene, it's like really clear that CGI was used to cover Gary Oldman's real height. Like you can see his shoes, and like bottom half of her feet are clearly like crappy CGI.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
I think it's a combination of like bad CGI, and they're doing that perspective trick from Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah. Or like
where you have Gandalf standing next to Frodo, but like they're just in a different perspective from the lens. So,
and other times they just use like a body double for him.
Right. On far shots or walking, things like that.
But they also do the really weird thing. They did some kind of prosthetics on his head too to make his head look odd.
Yeah.
Like, not odd, but like more dwarfish. I guess.
Right. But it looks weird because he's not a little person.
Right.
Like, and his like arms are the same length. It's like, he just looks.
Did they give him like just a bigger jacket and like,
and then like
I think they like puffed it up.
They kind of give him like a hump on the one side. They talk about hanging out. Like they try to meet up and like get some drinks, but they can't figure out a date to do that. Steven mentions he has like class tomorrow and do some exams, but you don't know what he's talking about. Like you don't know if he's like a teacher or what he is.
They don't go into that yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Ralph says he's going to go to a hotel with Maurice and Lucy, and they'll be staying with a woman named Sally. They'll find out who Sally is later on. Steven then goes home and undresses while getting into bed with a sleeping Carol. At this point, we see what Matthew McConaughey is really packing down there. It was like very like his whitey tighties. Like it was very clear that like he's doing all right.
Yeah, at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, they finally show Matthew McConaughey's abs. I'm like, it took 9 minutes already to see his abs in 2003. That's like the first thing you show.
Listen, man, this movie's got a message, man.
We'll just say, if you listen to the last episode though, McConaughey is no Big Ronnie, right?
Nope. I mean, in my brain he is. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
In my dreams he is.
I think Matthew McConaughey is a great actor, actually, because
he's awesome.
He's proven it in like a couple movies, but like
especially those commercials.
Clearly,
where he's driving a car.
Yeah, where he's driving the car and thinking about thoughts internally. But no, but like he definitely slipped up on this one.
Like, why? Because he didn't have a prosthetic in his underwear. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm not saying he had a prosthetic. No, I'm saying he was in shape. I'm just saying that he just was getting. He found. Well, here you can go further into the scene because I want to get into his character more later.
So Carol wakes up and they exchange some pleasantries, but she says she doesn't want to keep secrets from one another anymore, alluding to the fact that he's being pretty secretive with certain things of his life. She then says she thinks she's pregnant, which freaks out Steven. Not because they're having a kid, but the thought of him possibly having a kid with dwarfism freaks him out. Which, again, this is stuff Carol doesn't know. Like she
doesn't know this yet, but he's panicking, and she doesn't know why. She
has never met his family.
At this point, I wrote down, like, this seems like it's like the alternative version of In-Laws with Pauly Shore. Did you ever see that movie?
Wait a minute. Oh, you mean Son-in-Law?
Is that Son-in-Law? Okay, yeah. Son-in-Law.
Yeah. Where he goes from college to, the farm girl goes to college and meets Pauly Shore, and then he goes back to the farm with the farm girl.
It's like a meet the parents.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking it's going into. I'm like, okay, it's going to be worth a few yucks. Here we go. All right, good, cool.
Few yuckle ducks.
It's supposed to be a comedy. It's labeled as a comedy.
Right. It's supposed to be rom-com. And he's like, hey, we use protection. And she's counters by saying, except for the 2 or 3 times a week you wake me up in the night to have sex. that's like
pretty much to pound me, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he freaks out and gets out of bed and leaves.
A lot of piano during that scene too. I wrote that down.
But it does serve to build this, like, the idea of this story of like this fight of like she doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
Right.
So we go back to Ralph, Maurice and Lucy, and with dialogue we found out that they're in LA, like they're in California. But they're staying they're checking into a seedy motel in Hollywood, and they all have to share a room. The motel clerk thinks Lucy's a prostitute. He gives them a lower rate, saying a room for 1 adult and 2 little children.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It looks like one of those. It's that average motel. It looks like the Vacation Nightmare motel.
Yes.
You see.
Yeah.
It's also every Hollywood movie, especially in this time, makes Hollywood out to be the giant toilet in the world, like the biggest toilet ever. Like every movie,
like the low end of it. If you're not rich, then you're living in the slums. Yeah.
All Hollywood always makes Hollywood out to be like a giant toilet. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, go ahead.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, maybe it is.
I agree, but I'm just wondering why they just did it.
Hollywood, where you at? Comment, like, subscribe.
Come at me, Hollywood.
Johnny Hollywood, I'm looking for you.
Toby Hollywood. In the motel room while Lucy's in the bathroom. Pretty sure she doesn't wash her hands when she comes out, by the way.
Come on, Lucy.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah. Maurice makes a comment to Ralphie saying that he and Lucy will probably have sex. To Ralphie, I don't keep calling him Ralphie, but it's Rolf.
But it sounded like Ralphie at first.
Ralphie? Christmas Story?
Yeah, from Christmas Story.
Yeah, at this point, it's pretty clear that Maurice and Lucy are kind of degenerates. Maurice makes a drink out of morphine and cognac. A liquid
which
morphine
is true.
They got
this
from
is
France.
all in the film, yeah.
Yeah, which you got from France, and cognac. Maurice uses his cocktail to help him with some kind of physical pain he's in. In the middle of the night, while Rolf is sleeping, Maurice gets a bout of extreme pain, and he's in lots of agony. Rolf mentions this is part of being a little person, so I guess like it's
the structure of like his physical structure.
Yeah,
like he definitely. I mean, they go into it later, but he has a herniated disc. And some ulcers he's dealing with.
Yes. I think that's what he says. He says it right here. Rolf attempts to call a doctor, but Maurice won't let him for some reason. I'm guessing because he's using liquid morphine illegally. Yeah. So Rolf is upset and he leaves angrily. Rolf then decides to go to the apartment of the previously mentioned Sally, who also happens to be a little person. Sally mentions she read an article of Rolf's in a magazine. He's some sort of political writer or something like that. That's his job, I think. I had to put the subtitles on because I didn't really understand what she said. I guess he wrote something in Harper's Magazine about the Republicans or something like that. I don't know. Rolf discovers that another man, Adrisi, has been staying with Sally, who she's also slept with. The other man arrives during this time asking for money. A fight breaks out between Rolf and the other man. Clearly, here, whenever they want to show all of Rolf, a body double is used. The fight ends with Sally knocking the man out with a boombox.
Yeah, the stereo came in.
Yeah, she just goes into her room, comes out with a boombox, and knocks the guy over the head.
And the guy was not a little person that he was fighting.
No, yeah, he was not. Yeah, right. Thank you. He's not a little person. And again, I picked this movie not because I'm not. This is not us or me making fun of little people. I just thought the premise of the movie and the fact that the movie's so bad.
Well, yeah, we just heard this was a bad movie.
Yes, it's not. This is not us. Like
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything, so I was very surprised by everything I was watching.
It was more of a curiosity.
Yeah.
What I will say before we go on, two things. One, the actress Sally is Bridget Powers from early 2000s, and if you don't know who that is, she is collectively known as Bridget the Midget from Howard Stern and stuff like that. So she was around in the 2000s. The other thing I was going to say is that, like a lot of things in the early 2000s, a lot of things were tone deaf, I feel, in those days.
Very much so.
You could see that kind of come across in this movie.
Yeah.
But I do think that like the movie was made though for I could be wrong, but like for changing the narrative.
To shine a light.
I agree with you. Completely.
The heart was trying to be in the right place here.
Yes.
It was trying.
Yeah, it tried and it just...
I don't think it succeeded.
No.
Like there's a part which is later where, obviously I'm jumping ahead a little bit, where the word midget is used a ton, and then they're like, you shouldn't call them that, blah blah blah, and then like it's just like, okay, there's like all this good messaging and like how these people have to deal with all these problems, like the herniated disc and stuff, just because they're smaller and like so there's like a good heart there, but like the story surrounding it is just yikes.
I wish I could see the 150-minute version of this, because maybe like that does.
There were some scenes that actually fleshed it out.
Right.
Yeah, but do you really want to see it?
I'm curious.
Okay.
Not
Wait,
me.
this does just as good a job as what's that movie with Johnny Knoxville, The Ringer, as shining a light on societal problems that it's like it's a bad way to go about it.
I don't think I saw that one, so
I remember of it.
I enjoy The Ringer for what it was.
John Knoxville thinks that, or pretends he's in the Special Olympics to win the Olympics.
That's right.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but they had a lot of actors that with different.
They did with like either special needs or had and they did. It's actually a good-hearted movie. I won't get too into that, but yeah, again, that's a movie that came out around the same time that I don't think you would ever see again.
No.
Or at least around now. So, but yeah, that being said, where are we at here, Jordan?
So the guy gets knocked out by a boombox. All of a sudden, the police are already on their way. You hear the sirens. So Ralph's like, I'm out of here. We then cut to Carol, who's waiting on the results of a pregnancy test. Now, this pregnancy test is sitting on top of her cup of coffee. The pregnancy test she just peed on. Which I was like, what is she doing?
You put a cap on it.
Yeah, it's still
it's
gross.
safe. She was warming it up.
Oh, yeah, the results show that she is, in fact, pregnant. You see her reacting. She's kind of happy, then kind of worried and concerned. Then we go to Steven, who's apparently training firefighters out in the middle of like the woods somewhere, or like some area. He's training cadets He seems a little unhinged. He goes on a rant.
Very
berates
unhinged.
this guy, like calls him like terrible names. But then some random firefighter lady comes out, calls him an asshole. We don't know who this woman is yet.
Yeah.
She's taller than McConaughey.
Yeah. So then we go back to Carol and Steven's place. The place they live in, it's like a garage. It looks like a garage or like a warehouse. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that is. But Rolf arrives because he left the motel, got beat up at his girlfriend's place. Yeah. He needs a place to stay. So he arrives at Carol and Steven's house. He introduces himself as Steven's brother. She's obviously shocked because when he has a brother and two, like he's a little person. She didn't know any of this stuff about him. Rolf, who's obviously a little beat up, gets tended by Carol. Carol asks if they're blood brothers, and Rolf states that they're in fact twins. She also asks if the parents are little too, because she's, for obvious reasons, she's like, am I going to have, a little person? Because I'm having a kid.
Yeah, she immediately asks him this.
Yeah.
Like immediately. Doesn't even take a second.
Yeah. There's no like pleasantry. She's like, hey, your parents little too?
Hey, is everyone in your family a little person? Oh, okay, cool.
And Rolf said, obviously, Steven's the rare occasion. So it's apparent between the two that Steven doesn't share very much. Like, Carol mentions that her and Steven will be getting married soon. And they've been together for a year. She's like, we're getting married this summer. Been together since last May. So they've only been together a year and they're getting married. Okay, whatever. Rolf didn't know about Carol at all. So again, like Steven's hiding certain things about his life. Maybe that's the tiptoeing thing.
Nice.
But then Rolf falls asleep on the couch. Carol leaves. We go back to the motel, where Maurice awakens covered in those dumb, like, healing stone things.
Yeah, holistic crystals.
Yeah, they're placed on them by Lucy. A maid shows up saying, hey, I have to clean the room. An altercation ensues where the two refuse to leave. Maurice pulls out a gun.
Yeah, as it said, Dinklage just pulled out a gun.
And Lucy's like, what are you doing? But then she proceeds to beat the crap out of the hotel owner or clerk with her shoe.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you called me a prostitute last night, and just beats, like,
and then they just leave.
Him. Yeah. And Maurice is like, I'm in love with you. He's like, because, he just saw her do that, I guess.
Did they ever, like, I feel like I missed this, but did they say how he knew her? They just picked her up and that was it? Like,
yeah, she was hitchhiking. Yeah, she got kicked off that bus at the beginning, yeah.
Cool.
So then we go back to Steven's job site. Carol arrives to confront him, and she keeps using, the M word. She's worried about the kid being a little person and asks why Steven never told her about this. Steven suggests adopting kids, but doesn't address what they're going to do with the one they're about to have, which I thought was kind of weird. Whenever
they're fighting about having the baby, it's the strangest fight I've ever seen in my life between two people in a movie. Like between those two.
How so?
Because it's just like, again, very tone deaf. He's like, I don't want to have a baby because he could be little. And then they're just like, okay, well, I guess what else are we going to do? It's just so insane how they're fighting about this whole thing. Like,
yeah.
Like at his work too. It's just I had to come see you. I had to come see you in this field immediately.
Yeah, and she's like using the inappropriate term, and she's concerned, but then all of a sudden she's like totally fine with it. But
yeah, she like flip flops so hard,
and he keeps going back and forth throughout the rest of the movie. Like he's fine with everything, and he's not fine with everything. And it's very weird.
Man, yeah, it's super.
Again,
weird.
I think this shows like maybe the movie should have stayed its original length.
Yeah, definitely
for better or worse.
Can I also mention why did she show up in a sleeping cap?
I do that like
she just like
Brian. She's an artist, okay?
She's acting out.
I know this came out in the 2002 or 2003, but it seems like more late 90s than that.
It might have been filmed that long ago.
Probably, very well could have been. Especially with like the music and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have to get back to work. So Carol leaves. So after Maurice and Lucy, there's a lot of jumping around. So after Maurice and Lucy leave the hotel, they end up in like a field or a park, and they lay down a blanket right in front of a bunch of kids who are playing and just start making out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really weird. Like,
smooching in the park.
They're just like kids are just tossing a ball around, like literally right in front of them. Like, hey, they just start making out.
Also, the way they threw the blanket down was atrocious. Like, fix that.
Yeah, this is haphazardly.
Yeah.
Well, you're in love, Jeff. That's what you do. You just throw a blanket down. Get busy.
Okay. You just all right.
You don't live in Hollywood. How would you know?
Maurice asked Lucy about her past. She said she's from New York, then commuting from Arizona or something like that. I don't know. It was stupid. She said she had a previous relationship that went bad with a trucker. And then at one point he thought she was an alien. It was like it said walk-in alien on the subtitles. I don't know what that means. Like an illegal alien or an actual alien. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then she said something about like truck drivers sleeping with people, and I don't know.
The lizard people? Did she say lizard people?
I think she said lizard people, and then like transsexuals or something like that. Again, tone deaf. So then we go back to Stephen and Carol's. Rolf is on the phone with Sally. They're having a heated exchange.
Yeah.
He says some choice words, and he realizes Carol's walking in the room right before he says fart something.
Fart one.
Fart one.
Yeah, so he says I'll just say, you can bleep this out later. He's a mother wad fart.
Yeah, fart. And
I thought it was fart wad.
And he's like, I have to get off the phone because like Carol's in the room.
Yeah, sorry.
He cut the fart.
Yeah. So they go to sit on the couch, and clearly Gary Oldman's lower half is in the couch. And they're just like legs placed on top, like fake legs placed on top of the couch. They have a nice conversation. She apologized about the way she acted. When they met, she mentions that she's pregnant. Rolf mentions that he can introduce Carol to some people that can help her find information about her future baby. They cut to them walking down some sidewalk together.
In the sun.
Yep. Rolf mentions the convention that happened, and Carol realizes that's where Stephen had went previously. So that like previous, a couple nights ago when she tried to go down on him, he's like, I have to go to a family thing. That's where he's going. And she just found out about that.
Mm-hmm.
The two arrive at the house of Rolf's family member, Bobby. There they sit outside with Bobby's children and Kitty. So I guess Kitty and Bobby are a thing now. They're all very warm and welcoming and supportive of Carol, which is I think is very, very nice. They all say Carol can call on them if she ever needs help. Carol then begins to cry, and I think she did a terrible job showing that.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah, it's bad.
She's concerned that her baby won't have a productive and happy life, but I think this is really nice. Bobby then says there's nothing about being little that precludes being happy or productive. So I thought was like, again, this is like,
yeah,
I think that like this is them attempting to highlight or put a spotlight on like the how little people are viewed.
The small people, like smaller people, and how they should want to be treated. But
right.
And they're just as capable.
Both those small actors in that scene that were the representative of that conference, and then I forget was it Kitty?
Yeah,
they're both. I've seen them both in different movies. I've seen him in Phantasm, and I saw her in Total Recall. She's in the bar.
She was also in Seinfeld.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, oh, this is a really nice scene. Like, oh, this is really cool. But then they cut to a very, very weird scene right after that. Super weird.
Yeah.
Right?
What is the tone about this scene, man?
Is this the phone call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Carol's on the phone with Steven. He's still out doing his job site fireman thing. It's the middle of the night. It's nighttime. So the camera shot of Steven's normal. Like you can see most of his whole body. It's not like, it's his normal shot. But for some reason with Carol, it's zoomed tight in on her mouth.
Yes.
It's like a phone sex shot.
Yeah, like this sexy, weird scene. And she's speaking really, really weird and like sensual. But they're just talking about their day. It was odd. Like why do they choose to do that?
And Matthew McConaughey is just sitting in the woods in the dark by himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's like a tent next to him.
Yeah.
So she mentioned that Rolf is sleeping on their couch, which seems to upset Stephen for some reason. She mentions going to Bobby's house, and now they're all so again, the camera shot is on Carol's so bizarre. Because she says, when talking about his family, God, they were so nice. In like the creepiest, most sexual way. Because again,
did she like bite her lip at any point?
Yeah, it's like it's on her mouth and like part of her eye
Red
goes
lipstick.
back and forth. Yeah. But is she in bed? Like, what's happening? But she's like, your family were so nice. It's like she's a phone sex operator.
Yeah.
So she then says they're all invited to a party the next night at Jerry Robin Jr.'s house. That's Dave Al Greer, the guy with the weird hair.
The sweet hair, yeah.
Stephen, again, for some reason upset, says he'll meet her there, claims his phone is about to die, and then just throws it into the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Real quick. Back to that phone call ends with, I'm not mad, I'm just bewildered, right?
Dude,
Is that what it was?
I got so mad at that line.
That was a little later.
That's later on.
But wait, did we skip over the part where Matthew McConaughey was like dark in the woods, and then that other firefighter like comes walking out?
No, this is it. This is it right
as
here.
soon as they hang up the call. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So he's mad for some reason about this, says his phone's about to die, and he just tosses his phone in the wood, right?
Oh, right. He throws his phone.
Yeah, angrily.
So at which point, this random firefighter woman, who I'm assuming is the same woman, but you can't tell because it's completely dark. It's just it's like a silhouette of a figure. It's dark. She says, "That was smart." And then Steven invites her to go to this party the next night.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it.
And it's like, is he cheating?
Yes.
Like, is that what they're implying?
Yeah, they allude to that, but they
Right,
never
yes.
explain it.
Yes.
He's taking another girl to meet his fiance at a party.
They never explain it.
But she just appears from the darkness.
Yeah.
Like a Batman thing.
Yeah, that was smart. So the party the next night, Carol, Rolf, Lucy, and Maurice arrive. Sally is seen talking to Jerry. The music was really weird. It was very unnerving.
I wrote the music is very bad in this film.
Yeah. Stephen arrives with his students. So apparently that lady is one of his students, a couple of other students. But mainly one of them is that woman who just appeared in the middle of the night. The one I called an asshole earlier on. That woman makes a comment about the amount of little people. She uses the wrong word for it, and Carol corrects her word usage. So all of a sudden, Carol is a sympathetic person.
Yeah. All of a sudden.
Sure are a lot of around here.
All of a sudden, though, they see each other at the party, and Matthew McConaughey is like, "Oh, hey!" Like nothing happened,
and he's happy. He's happy all of a sudden.
Like nothing happened. Like nothing was going on. Like, and he shows up with these two random women. And it's just it's all
Stephen
ignored.
Suddenly, just seems okay with everything.
Yeah.
Maurice and Lucy have an altercation with Bobby and Kitty over politics. I think it was about politics in the kitchen. They make a question about World War II, how the Americans saved the French. That was stupid.
Oh, right.
And then Rolf has to forcibly remove Maurice out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
He also helps what's her name up on the chair, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, Sally.
Yeah. He's lifts her up on the chair, Rolf's girlfriend.
And they're all just watching this argument. It's kind of weird.
But he also says, "I'm a Marxist,"
I am a Marxist.
which
Which
is the most strangest thing.
He said, "I'm a Marxist. What are you?"
Yes.
What are you?
Yeah. Horrible accent and everything.
Marxist.
The dude walks behind with this Fabio hair. And it was weird. Carol and Sally are talking. Carol finds out Sally and Rolf dated in high school. Outside, Rolf confronts Stephen for not being open and honest with Carol. Stephen's like, "What's this business? What does this have to do with you?" He thinks Stephen is ashamed of him and his family.
This is where she says, "I'm bewildered," and I immediately stopped and I was like, "What are you talking about? Who talks like that? It's not human."
So Rolf upset. He's like, "I'm gonna go find Sally. Then I'm getting out of here. We're gonna take a cab home."
Oh boy, here we go.
So he then discovers that she's in a room with Jerry. Okay.
Wait, can you describe that this room is basically all windows,
this room has
please?
a glass door and big glass windows all around it. Anyone can clearly see what's going on inside there. Yeah. People are right outside this room dancing.
It's like a pool
They
house.
can clearly see what's going on in this room.
Join the party.
So Rolf comes in, turns the light on. All of a sudden people are like, "Oh, what's going on in there?" Like you could see what's going on there. But Jerry's having sex with Sally.
But wasn't there people in the room?
Yes, there's a woman standing right next to them smoking a cigarette. She's just watching. Was she just watching this?
Also, for those who forgot, Jerry is David Allen Greer.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
Mr. Hair.
Yeah. So that was interesting. So Rolf, understandably upset, leaves. Stephen kind of consoles Rolf, and he offers Rolf can stay at their place. That night, Stephen and Carol have a talk in bed. Stephen mentions adopting again. And again, I think he's alluding to her having an abortion, but Carol is like, I'm not going to do that. Stephen mentions the bodily plane that doors have to go through when they're younger. So he's showing kind of some of his concern with this stuff. But then he talks about Sally and Rolf and when Rolf lost his virginity or something like that, which I thought was kind of weird.
Before he did.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, right.
When he was like 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
To Sally. Like they were together in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carol asks if Steven's ever had sex with a little person, and then jokes about him having a circle jerk with little people, which I was like,
Yeah, I wrote that down too. Cool. I'm like, yeah.
I was like, all right, interesting.
Have you ever been involved with a little person sexually? Is what she said.
That's just like, okay, all right.
Again, the sexual overtones of this movie just coming out in every scene.
Yeah.
When it's not
family
being heartfelt.
comedy.
Right.
But I mean, it could be argued because she eventually says, like, I think you should go see a therapist because you have conflicting attitudes about little people. So maybe she's like trying to see, like, now that she knows where he comes from, how he views little people, how he views his family. So yeah, she suggests him seeing a therapist. He doesn't take that very well.
Meanwhile, she was using the M word like 10 minutes ago.
yeah. A couple of days ago.
People can learn from their mistakes, Jeff.
You know what? Fair. It just was so fast.
So then we go to Steven's parents' house.
This was the most insane scene in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Dude, this scene.
And this is where Steve meets Carol's family. Carol meets Steve's family for the first time. So when Carol's parents arrive, they're kind of taken aback by Steven's family. They do like a shot of it, like the mom looking at like Steven's parents and then Rolf.
Yeah, can we pause here for a second? Because she was very upset that she wasn't told that everyone in his family was little, and then she does the same thing to her parents. She's just like, hey, just come on over. Like, I mean,
it shows you how shallow this character really is.
And she's like, it shouldn't matter, but like she was clearly upset.
I mean, that's true. It shouldn't matter, but it's not something, you know.
But she was clearly upset about it earlier.
Yeah.
But she was upset.
Exactly.
They play her mom up as being upset about that.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like great. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. There's a nice little twist that happens.
There is.
So yeah, they're the Steven's dad barbecues. They're all sitting down eating dinner. The dad tells some joke. I couldn't quite understand what the joke was.
He's talking about farts.
Yeah, it's a fart joke. I put that in there. 58 minutes in, a fart joke.
He's awesome. He's the best character. He's the best character in the whole film, the dad.
So everyone's kind of hitting it off. Then all of a sudden, Carol's mom gets she's acting kind of weird. So then Steven's mom's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And you think like it has to do with the fact that Carol's pregnant with might be a little person, a dwarf. So Carol's mom mentions that Carol's grandfather was gonna be dying soon. They might not come to the wedding. Everyone's kind of freaking out. Like Carol, and Steven's parents are like, "Oh, it's just because he's prejudiced against little people." And like you see Matthew McConaughey kind of tearing up because he's getting worried. Kate Beckinsale's getting worried. I think there's actually some good acting right here. But it turns out like Carol's parents didn't have a Jewish wedding. I guess they're Jewish. And her grandfather would at least want the wedding to be partially Jewish. So there's like big sigh of relief thinking that like they thought that like the grandfather wouldn't come because of them being little people, but ends up being a religious thing. And they're like, yeah, of course we'll have a partially Jewish wedding. So that was kind of nice.
Was so goddamn stupid that they did that.
Why?
The twist, 'cause it was like an unneeded twist. Like it was just like this bait and switch of trying to make people think like, oh, you thought they were going to be prejudiced. It's like, no.
Turns out.
Yeah, like they were actually prejudiced against Jewish people. Is that what you're trying to say? Like, what are you trying to say here?
Yeah. Turns out the white lady wasn't that bad.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, that's just like a
that's the movie's telling you, viewer.
So then we jump. There's a big jump here. It's the day of the wedding. Carol is full blown pregnant now.
Right.
Biggest jump in the world. Like, boom, right to wedding. Despite him, like, cheating on her and stuff, whatever.
Oh, yeah, right.
Subplot that was never established.
And at this point, I remember I might have paused the movie. I was like, oh, there's 30 minutes left. Like, how are they going to, like, they're getting married.
How's this going to wrap up?
Yeah, what could possibly happen? What more can happen? Little did I know. So they have a nice little ceremony outside while Maurice and Lucy are watching from a distance, drinking. I guess they weren't invited, which is probably for the best. Maurice has cornrows now.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning. Yeah, Lucy had them as well. So
he just adopted them.
But also, he's a Marxist with a cross tattoo.
Oh right, yeah. Oh yeah.
Conflicting ideologies.
Lucy says she wants to get married, but Maurice rejects the idea, saying, "I if you get married, it'd be like having sex with a sibling."
I think I missed that.
I missed that.
Yeah,
he's like, if you get married, like he's like, marriage is like being with a brother or a sister, and I was like, what?
What?
Something along those lines.
That's not what it is. mean, I know it's what he said.
He's like, he takes like the romance out of it. He's like, it's like being with a sister or brother. I was like, oh, that's disgusting.
What?
Kind of weird.
That said that?
Outlook. Something along those lines, yeah.
Huh.
Put the clip in.
Yeah, Steven and Carol are happy. Steven actually seems okay with everything for now, again. He keeps changing his tune with this whole thing frequently. As the two are about to drive off, Carol gets out of their truck to say thank you to Rolf for all he's done. He said Steven's a very lucky guy. Rolf says he's going to a cabin in the winter to do some writing.
Yep.
Carol kisses him goodbye, right on the mouth.
Yeah, I wrote that down too. What a mouth kiss.
I was like, all right.
2003.
In hindsight.
Different time.
In hindsight, makes sense.
A lot of mouth kissing back in 2003.
Open mouth kissing.
So then we flash forward again to the birth of Carol and Steven's child, Vincent. Steven is once again distraught. And it looks like at this point he's been on like a massive coke bender. He's like sweaty and like he just looks strung out.
Oh, he just had a kid. That's actually kind of realistic. But
yeah. The doctor tells him about the medical treatment regimen Vincent will have to go through for the next several years. And at this point, it's clear that Vincent is in fact going to be is a little person. So they end up having a little person. Carol remains positive while Steven loses his mind and punches a hole in the wall.
A hole in the wall. Yep.
Yeah. The doctor suggests Steven seek therapy, just like Carol previously did. This doesn't sit well with Steven, and he leaves. But then Shirley comes back and is totally fine again all of a sudden.
he also says when he punches the wall, his quote is, I don't need to settle down. I need a chromosome.
Oh, geez.
That's what he says.
Very specific.
Yeah. He threw a DX chop right after that, too.
And then Shawn Michaels showed up and gave her sweet chin music.
It was a very, very hard, like twist of like feelings. Like the movie really took a turn where it was like, we're happy.
Yes.
We're at a hotel, like in a wedding. Everybody's
and
happy.
at this point, I paused it. I was like, there's 20 minutes left. Like, how are they going to wrap
How's
this up
this gonna
now at this
resolve?
point? Yeah, how are they going to successfully, like, appropriately wrap this up at this point? Jeez.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey seemed to just switch like a light switch in this
Yeah.
movie. Like,
Yes.
from like,
All the
hey,
time.
I'm leaving this and now I'm marrying you, even though I know that you're going to have,
Also, I want to point, I don't know if we talked about this, but he talks about how his brother Rolf went through a lot of pain
Yes.
growing up because of the way that little persons, like how they develop, their organs grow and their bones don't in some cases, or at different speeds. And so it causes tons of pain. So children, especially little kids, are in a lot of pain as a little person. And that's why he's so upset.
right. Yeah. No one wants their kid being in a ton of pain. I get it.
Right.
So yeah, he leaves after that and then just comes back and he's like, fine again. So they jump forward again. They're in their like loft, whatever that thing is, at their home. Vincent, the baby, can't stop crying because I'm assuming he's in pain. This obviously disturbs Steven, but he again loses his mind and lashes out at Carol. He pushes her to call the boy a dwarf, and then he proceeds to call himself a dwarf because of his genetics, I guess. Steven arrives at the conclusion that he's making things worse and that he should leave. At this point, there's like 15 minutes left. Or 20, and I'm like, how are they going to resolve this?
Where's it going to go?
So Carol, now alone and sad, decides to take Vincent and go to the cabin where Rolf is staying. He's staying there with Maurice and Lucy. I don't know why Rolf keeps hanging out with this dude. He just seems like a terrible person. And why Carol's like, yeah, I'll go there. She goes to the cabin, sees that Maurice and Lucy are there, and she's like, I'll stay here with my baby. Like, why would she think that's a good idea?
Instead of going to her parents' house.
Right.
Right. Your really awesome parents' house.
Yeah. Versus staying in this cabin with these, like, Rolf's
Because
a good
it's
guy,
been
but like,
established that she's a clear thinker so far.
yeah. But like Maurice and Lucy, they're crazy. But Rolf welcomes Carol to stay as long as her and Vincent would like. The four and the baby sit around the table eating. Maurice and Lucy get in an argument over women's roles in society. Lucy decides to go inside and blare music. Again, why does Carol think this is okay to have her baby here? I don't know. Carol admits to being a little drunk and decides to breastfeed her baby.
Yep.
Hey, it's
Hey.
I'm not going to touch on that.
You can touch
Well,
it.
I'll touch on it
Touch
because Peter Dinklage then asks if she's gonna get the baby drunk by doing that.
Oh yeah.
You definitely can't leave that part out.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, they talk a little bit more in the middle of that. So that night, in the middle of the night, both Lucy and Maurice leave separately after an altercation. You don't see Maurice leaving; you just hear his motorcycle take off after they fight. Like they're not on screen. Lucy is for a little bit. Carol, who meanwhile slept through the whole altercation, is unable to hear Vincent, her son, crying. Rolf comes in to take the baby downstairs to calm it down. Carol wakes up, goes downstairs. She realizes, the baby's not there. Sees Rolf, cradling the baby. Rolf tells her to go back to sleep and then he'll look after Vincent. But as she goes back up, Rolf kind of gives a look. Then they zoom on his face. This smile.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. Stephen arrives the next day to check in on Carol and his son. Again, he seems okay. He seems all right. He claims he's working on himself for Carol and for Vincent. Carol says, I want you to do this for yourself. Carol's also worried that Stephen is unable to show love for Vincent. So they kind of, not necessarily an argument, but again, Stephen's very upset. Before leaving, Stephen says goodbye to his son, tells Rolf he's not mad at him after Rolf asked, then tells Rolf to love his son, which I thought was kind of odd. So it appears that Carol and Vincent are just going to live in this cabin. And Stephen's just not in the picture anymore.
There's 3 minutes left,
weird.
and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, he just abandons his kids so quickly.
He's just like, all right, I'll see you later. Love my son. I'm going back to the
I was
city.
like, something has to blow up or something, and it ruins everybody.
Yeah.
He's just giving up on his own life. That's all he's doing.
Yeah.
Or taking his own,
His own life.
his own Lincoln route.
Jeez.
I didn't say his own life.
I thought that's what you're going to say.
He's going to shoot a Lincoln
No.
commercial. Is that what you meant?
Oh boy.
He's gonna shoot Abraham Lincoln. Let's go.
Just
Let's
goes
go.
to his grave.
Let's go. Stephen and Carol hug and he leaves, which I think is so ridiculous. Later that night, Rolf enters Carol's room looking like Johnny Cash. He has his black button down. It's unbuttoned around his chest, which I think is really odd.
Yeah.
And he says he wants to show Carol something downstairs. Outside, they sit by a fire in the starry night sky. Then, all of a sudden...
All of the sudden, yes. All of the sudden.
You can say what happens. Go ahead.
Carol turns to Rolf and says, Rolf, you can kiss me if you want. Rolf does, and then the movie just ends.
He didn't hesitate, did he?
That's it.
And that was the
That's
end of
the end.
movie.
It just
I was
cut
like,
to
what?
black credits.
I was like, what?
It's
Yeah.
It is so
How is
insane.
this the end?
It is so crazy that's how it ends.
Unbelievable.
I was flabbergasted is the word at that ending. Sure, they were hinting at it before it to just end like that and then black screen credits. What?
it's no, they really did it.
I really didn't think they were even hinting at it until I looked started looking back and in hindsight. I was like, okay.
I also didn't either. I was like, wait.
They were kind of alluding to it, but I was just like, what?
I just thought she was being nice because he was being supportive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Helpful to the family.
Yeah.
So apparently she falls for him.
Which means she's still going to have to see Matthew McConaughey at some point.
Right.
Which is weird.
So the three of them are just going to live in this cabin together?
I don't know, man.
Wait a minute. So did they establish? I mean, they established that they got married, right? But did they establish that they got divorced?
No.
She just said we're separated.
So they're not officially lawfully
No.
divorced.
Correct.
Right?
No.
But you gotta wonder if they cut stuff because he asked.
They definitely cut
He's like,
stuff.
hey, are you mad at me? Why would he ask that?
Right.
Yeah.
Why would he ask if he's mad at him? There was nothing up until that
There
point.
has to be. She has to find out that he hooked up with those girls or something. That one blonde girl. They wouldn't have built that.
Yeah. There's a whole subplot
Right.
that got erased for just timing purposes.
Yeah, it's dude, what? Matthew McConaughey pieces out on his kid basically every chance he gets in this movie.
Whoever edited this, it just doesn't. It doesn't make they had to be the worst ever.
Yeah.
They kept the park scene in with Peter Dinklage and the Dream Child though.
Right.
That made
Yeah.
the cut.
Why? Yeah. You don't need that.
Yeah.
It's inconsequential to the story.
Got to keep those characters in.
You could take away all the Peter Dinklage stuff, and it wouldn't matter.
It's true. It was not a great role for him.
Right. But they probably said to themselves, okay, we have Gary Oldman, but he's not actually a small person. We need a small person to act with him because that wouldn't be a right thing to do.
Then why wouldn't they put Peter Dinklage as Rolf?
Right.
Because they're probably like, we don't know who the Peter Dinklage is. We can't count on this guy.
That is true. He wasn't Tyrion yet.
Yeah, he didn't establish himself as an actor. He was probably just starting out. I think The Station Agent, which is one of his like first starting movies, and it's a great movie, by the way, was around that time, so nobody knew who he was. And yeah, they were just like, let's find all the established small actors we can find. Let's put them in this movie, and let's just let it cook. And it didn't work.
Yeah. It cooked too long.
They were like, let's get one of the best method actors out there to play a small person. And that definitely did not work.
Which I don't think that went over very well either.
No.
The fact that they
it's like almost like short circuit at that point, right? Like,
yeah, you mean the scientists that they whitewashed.
Oh, geez, that's right.
Yep.
Wait a minute. I'm going to just throw up that actor's name, by the way. That actor's name is Fisher Stevens. He's also in Hackers as the Plague.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
There you go.
Never seen it. Anyway.
Of course not,
Nope,
Chris.
Nope, don't care. Anyway, let's go around and get our feedback. Let me hear what you have to say about this movie. And Jordan, do you want to start first with what you feel about this Tiptoes, the movie?
I think they need to release the Matthew Bright cut of this. Let's get an online petition going, like we did with the Snyder cut. Yeah, let's get. I want to see this movie in its full glory, or fire, whatever you want to call it. I think there could have been some potential there because you have like these big great actors in this movie, like really good actors. And clearly, like their careers haven't been tarnished because of this, but this was not a great movie.
So apparently there's a podcast called Tiptoes, and it goes into the making of this, and they're petitioning to try.
Really?
This is trying to get the full thing released. I guess you can't actually find the director's cut.
Full podcast?
It's probably a whole history behind it.
Yeah, it's called Tiptoes.
Completely based. Weird.
A lot of stories there.
Enough to have a podcast.
Yeah. But go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
But would I recommend this movie? Is that
We
what
can
you're
come back
asking,
to
Chris?
that. We can come back to just your feelings about it.
I think there was potential there because again, you have these great actors and actresses. I do like that they're trying to show some light on a, I think, community that has a lot of like bad stigmatism to it. Just like way that like little people have been portrayed throughout the years. So I do like that they attempted to show some positivity, but I don't think it was executed very well.
Jeff, what about you? What do you think about Tiptoes?
I'm gonna echo what Jordan just said. I feel like, the positivity part was all good. Like, yeah, that's cool. It's educating people with, it's kind of being like, hey, you should call them little people, that kind of thing. Like, that aspect of it was nice. Is this a movie for me specifically? Like the demographic of me? No. This is not a movie for me. This almost felt like a weird Hallmark movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, which I'm not a Hallmark movie type of guy. So this was hard to get through, but I think that the sheer insanity of some of the parts helped me get through it. And that ending, I mean, you guys, I sent everyone in this group a text at the same time, was like, Jordan, you have some explaining to do once I finish this. So, I didn't like it. I kind of echo what Jordan says, though. And like there's a lot of obviously amazing actors in it. And, trying to shine a light on this community was great. But it was just the story surrounding it. And like it was too fragmented. And it was just not my cup of tea. Even if it was done like well, I wouldn't really like this movie. So, it's just not a movie that I like. I don't care. I don't watch these types of movies.
Yeah, it's a definitely feeling. The feel type of movie is the rom-com or what was marketed as
dramedy.
Yeah, I think it had. I agree, and I'll move on to Brian before I give my feedback. But go ahead, Brian. What did you say about Tiptoes?
Tippy Toes. There are movies out there that you want to check out because you hear that they're maybe unreleased or they're bad, or in this case, they had a lot of great actors involved in it. This movie tried, well, with all we went through, with things being cut out, with the tone of some of the writing, especially like early 2000s stuff that just does not sit well. It didn't sit well then. It really does not sit well now. They tried to get a method actor to send a message across for small people, and like a heartfelt message, I think. And it just came across as like completely wrong, especially in like the way they cut it and the ending. It makes no sense. Like, it's completely tone deaf to the message they're trying to put across, and like it just comes across as super fucking weird. So I would say that if you want to check out this movie, check it out for like 30 minutes. Just check out like a few select scenes. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing. The pacing of it is super off. Even movies that are bad out there that are known to be bad, you can like kind of like celebrate the whole movie for being bad. It just doesn't work here for me. Like, I would just give it a thumbs down. I probably wouldn't watch this again.
So I have to agree with everybody in that there's a lot of potential in the actors they had. I don't even know how you would sign it. If any actor would read this, any of these big actors, maybe they weren't that big at the time, but sign them on for this. Like Kate Beckinsale, when did Underworld come out? Like
probably around the same time, like 2002 or 2004.
Right, and that was a huge role for her. I mean, she was
that's how I knew who she was. Yeah,
but I mean, before that, she was still a pretty big actress.
2003, so it was around the same time.
I think they signed on to a movie that the movie they signed on for was not the one that was released.
Right. I mean, yeah,
right.
But you read the script of this, and it makes it maybe sound like it was like a bigger deal than it actually was, or whatever. Like maybe they were doing it because it had a good message, but like, how do you as an editor cut something like this up and like put this out? This is insane that they would do something like this. Like, maybe, and it makes me think, like, one, what was cut out was actually so horrible, this is all they could salvage from it. Or two,
oh gosh,
like, there really wasn't anything. It was the same movie, it just like kept on going. Like, it was 150 minutes of the same exact thing, and they just didn't really, they kind of cut it, like condensed it for time, to save time.
And man, if that's condensed, it still felt like a million years.
It's so stretched out.
I mean, there's still an hour that it has, what they said, it's 150 minutes. So this was only 90.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Plus, Matthew Bright, who directed, also wrote the film, and he removed his name from the film and credited himself as Bill Wiener.
What?
What?
Wow.
It's on the wiki, man.
I like this guy.
Bill Wiener.
Plus, like, where does he get off representing this community? Is he himself a small person?
Bill Wiener get off. Matthew Bright. Let me look him up.
No, he's not.
It doesn't make sense why they would use that.
The only movies he's ever done that I've known of was I've seen parts of it. It was like Kiefer Sutherland and
Freeway.
Yeah.
That's actually that's also a cult movie if you haven't seen that. So
yeah,
I would actually recommend watching Freeway over Tiptoes if you're going to pick one of his films. So.
Freeway 2, Confessions of a Trick Baby.
That's right.
He did a Ted Bundy movie right before this.
And then he quit. He quit his job after this.
So I just don't understand like what the point of this was. The point of this movie was. Like, why would he do this?
Yeah.
Why would someone give him money to do this? I guess it had to be they read it, that it was what it was pitched as, like Brian said or Jeff said. It was like what was pitched was different than what was actually filmed or produced. Obviously,
it was like a serious rom-com thing they were trying to go for. It was like trying to be funny and also be serious about the message, right?
But nothing was funny about it.
No, it crashed and burned for sure.
There was no comedy.
Yeah,
it's insane.
The comedy was just like how disconnected and disjointed.
Unintentional.
It was awkward comedy.
It was
unintentional
comedy.
And not in like the Greasy Stranglers.
Yeah,
not the Greasy Strangler type of comedy.
Yeah,
good
but
stuff.
I seriously though, what is the ending? If you're an editor in Hollywood, you had to have gotten fired after this. Like, why would you edit it down like that?
Well, the producers made the editor die.
Right, but who thought that was a good ending?
But why cut it there is what he's saying. Yeah. Somebody did.
That's why I'm thinking maybe what they had left was so terrible. Like the ending they actually shot for it was so horrible. Like the baby dies or something. Like Matthew McConaughey steals the baby and kills it. Like it had to be so terrible. That's why they didn't put it in there.
Matthew McConaughey as a firefighter climbs to the top of a flaming building with his baby and then jumps off in a giant statement.
Yeah, like it had to be a fire scene of him doing something firefighter related.
He was probably firefighting in that scene in Jupiter Ascending when the city was on fire.
That's why he's so good at his job.
All right, so let's go around and give it a review. What do you guys? I'm gonna go to each of you. Tell me yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down for this movie, Tiptoes. How about Jordan? I'll let you go first.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Seriously?
Watch it.
Oh boy.
Watch it. Not because it's good, but watch it because it's something. All right.
It's just an experience.
It is something.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Jeff, what do you say?
Just for the ending alone, like that twist.
The Sopranos, like ending, yes.
The blackout.
I mean, I think I already answered this question, but I gotta give it a hard thumbs down into the dirt. It's just not good. Like I said earlier, it was nice of them to like try to shed this light on this community of people, and there were some positive things about it. But I mean, even if it was done perfectly, this just is not my kind of movie. I would never choose to watch something like this. And thumbs down.
Brian, what do you got?
Again, this movie had a lot of top actors in it. They were just kind of coming into their craft at the time, whether you like them or not. It is a bad movie. Whether you choose to watch it or not is up to you. I say watch only like 30 minutes of it just to check it out. Do not watch the whole thing.
Or just watch the trailer.
Just watch the trailer. Maybe a few select scenes you can find them on YouTube.
Just listen to
or
us.
something.
You just listen to the movie. That's all you need to know.
Listen to the movie, yeah. Just replay this over and over again. You get the full experience.
Well, we're hoping people heard we were, watching it last week and then watched it this week before they listened.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to. I as much as I believe that Jordan and Jeff gave me pity thumbs up on Greasy Strangler, I have to thumbs down this because I just couldn't get through the whole thing again if I had to.
Shame
so
on me.
I'm going to say,
Sorry.
for me, it's going to be, I'm going to thumbs down. I'm going to cut my thumb off because it's so terrible that I just can't believe this was made. I think it's more of like, throw away all the positive messaging. Like, just as a movie, what the hell? These people were insane.
Yeah.
It's
What happened?
Yeah.
Here?
how did it even get released? I guess they had to try to make any money they can, but
Well, it didn't really get. I don't think it got.
Right.
I don't think it got released really.
Not like officially, or if it
No.
did, yeah, maybe like
I think it
direct to
kinda went
video of it all.
straight to video.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's never gonna
that's all I can
theatrical
think
release.
of.
okay.
No way.
Tricking people.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, right? Yeah, the positive messaging aside, yeah, just like even the editing, everything was just the pacing, like even the shots,
Well, even
the
like-
lip shots.
Even like the poster or whatever that is for the movie just looks terrible.
Well, it's all photoshopped
I haven't
together.
seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Brian. And if you would like to help us out, please go and follow us on any podcast platform of choice. Give us a follow on YouTube for our YouTube channel that is obviously audio only. Also, please go ahead and give us a follow on any social media platforms. I think all the links are down in the show notes. I know they are. They're all down in the show notes. So please give them a look. You can also go to watchpals.show, which is our website, which will have links and everything there for you. Again, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you, Jeff, for being here.
All right, well, what are we watching? What are we watching next week?
Oh, yes. What are we going to watch next week, Jeff? It's Jeff's choice.
Drop it, Jeff.
It is my turn, and you know what? I had one in mind that I told everyone, but now I want to change my tune a little bit. I'm pretty sure, I know Brian has seen this movie. I'm pretty sure Jordan and I have watched it maybe a couple times, but I don't think Chris has ever seen it. And I do think that I want to make anyone listening to this watch it because I am a big fan of it. So we're going to watch Father's Day. And it's not the Billy Crystal. It's not the Billy Crystal Robin Williams movie. Yeah. It's the Astron 6 version, which Cool Guys. I believe is on. Yeah, the Cool Guys made it. I'm a huge. You might be more familiar with like some of their more recent work. They did like Psycho Gorman, which is like a cool movie. I mean, it's not the same studio, but it's a lot of the same people. They did The Void.
They're still doing stuff.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just not under Astron 6 anymore. They're just like kind of, I don't know if they separated or what, but huge stand for this movie. It was introduced to me by my friend Doyle, and who Brian is also really good friends with. So that's what we're watching. Father's Day, Astron 6. It was distributed by Troma, but they kind of effed them over. So, don't support Troma and watch it for free if you can. Or buy it from them if you can. I don't know. I
don't even know if they have it for sale right now, but yeah, if you can watch, we'll talk about it next week after we watch it. But
I think, it's on Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime, so you can stream it there.
Yeah, if you do want to watch Tiptoes, and you should, it's on Amazon Prime for free.
It is available.
I can't believe they're making money off that.
There you go.
Anyway, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Brian. And we will see you next time on the Watch Pals. Set your watches.
No.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.